Hello and welcome to another Fortnight on the Isle bi-weekly update video for the channel and all the things that I'm working on and doing. Winter is upon us and all of my joints ache. So yeah, that's what the beanie's for. It's definitely not because I'm embarrassed of how my hair looks right now. Basically, happy early Thanksgiving if you happen to be watching this video around the time that it releases. It's going to be in the US just 4 days from now, if that's how math works out. Anyway, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a mixed bag as far as the things that I've been working on goes. I've been really productive and busy on some things that I would consider to be side projects at this point in time, but I've also been spending a little bit more of my free time not really doing anything, such as spending a little bit more time with a friend before he ends up moving out of town here in probably just a few weeks. That's something that I've been doing as well. Writing and stuff like that has been going pretty good. That's what we'll talk about a little bit later. The reading, on the other hand, has been, like I said, a pretty mixed bag. Not my best performance, but we did pretty okay. Let's just kind of talk about the bi-weekly reading here. The main thing that I got done was that I finished Ruin. I expected to have this done like basically a week ago at the time that I'm recording this. Instead, it's I'm barely finished this on Thursday, and that only because I read a lot over the last week. The entirety of the last week, I read the whole back half of the book, basically. Whereas I thought maybe I wouldn't be finishing this until like tomorrow morning or something. Thank goodness I finished it earlier. This book was pretty good. I haven't written my Goodreads review of it yet, which I guess is foreshadowing towards the next section of the video, but we'll get to that in due time. Ruin is a pretty good book. I would say that Valor is probably still my favorite of the series, mostly because the first like half, maybe 2/3 of Ruin were a little bit messier in terms of the pacing and the way that chapters were split out, the length of the chapters, the way that POVs were organized. Wasn't fully to my liking in Ruin compared to Valor. Chapters were definitely a lot longer in Ruin, and I think that impacted the pacing and my enjoyment of it for the whole first act or two. The final act, though, was incredible and was almost enough to make me rate it 5 stars just as easily as Valor. I would say I'm not actually that hot on the ending, though. As much as I really liked the climax of all the various storylines, I did not particularly love like the last 6 or so chapters. There was a couple twists that happened at the end here, not just in the event of something that happened at the very end. If you know, you know. There's also a twist on kind of what was happening with the Holy War aspect of the series that I actually was not into at all when that twist happened near the very end of the book. So that kind of brought things down a little bit. Still 4 stars, still had a great time. The climaxes, like I said, are great. The very last act of the book is great, aside from the very end, which I'm not sure how I feel about yet. I did enjoy Ruin. I definitely didn't love it quite as much or as easily as I loved Valor, because Valor I loved every second of. This one I didn't love every second of, we'll say. The only other thing that I got done on the reading sphere is A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr., one of Christopher Rocchio's favorites, and a book that we're reading for the Red Company as kind of a read-along in the Sun Eater fan Discord. I've read the first part of this. In fact, I read all of that this morning. I'm actually reading out of the hardcover that I have in my bedroom, but this was easier to show in here because it's just easy cover to show off. Part 1, very good. It ended very tragically, which I'm not sure how I feel about, actually. I didn't want it to end that way, but of course it did. It is what it is. The first 2 chapters, at least, of the book, of part 1, I can say are perfect. Fantastic. Anybody who loves post-apocalypse should read at the very least the first 2 chapters of this book, if not the entirety of part 1. Very good stuff, and I greatly look forward to continuing this. In fact, by the time this video comes out on Sunday morning, there's a chance that I'm actually done with it, because I read all of part 1 today. I think I'll be able to read part 2 tomorrow and then part 3 on Sunday morning, so I'll definitely be sure to update you in 2 weeks how the rest of this goes. For the bi-weekly writing, once again, second time in a row, there were 0 words written for the Reign of Ash, which I'm ashamed about. I'm sorry mostly to myself for that, but it's just been kind of hard to get back into that frame of mind, like I said. But I did get plenty of words written that weren't in the Reign of Ash. In terms of blogs and reviews, there's definitely some things to talk about. 0 words for film reviews, 0 words for book reviews, actually. Like I said, I didn't get to write my review for Ruin yet, although by the time this video comes out, I probably have. So I'll discuss that in the next one of these episodes. The main thing that I got done over the last couple weeks with the writing was 10,300 words written for music reviews, in which I completely rewrote my Fit for an Autopsy discography ranking, did a review of From Zero by Linkin Park, and did a Linkin Park discography ranking. More details on all of those videos in the upcoming section. The other main thing that I've been working on the last couple weeks has been blueprinting, outlining, and taking notes for my The Last of Us 2 review, a game review. I've gotten 1,300 words in for that. Again, more details on that a little bit later. For the coming releases on the main channel, I have the typical 5 videos coming out over the next couple of weeks. I actually wasn't sure which of these videos it would be, but this Tuesday on the 26th will be my review for Witchy Eye by Dave Butler. That book was pretty enjoyable, and that review will be coming out on Tuesday. On the 28th, this Thursday, was originally going to be a discussion that I was going to have with Dave, but because of some logistical things, timing wise, it wasn't going to be able to happen, so I'm not entirely sure when that's going to happen at this point now. I hope to have it happen pretty soon, not entirely sure, but instead this Thursday will be pretty topical Thanksgiving story time video, basically going over all of the some of the books that had the biggest impact on my life. A little bit lengthier than I intended, so I apologize for that, but that video will be coming out on Thursday, and I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. Next Sunday, on the 1st of December, will be another Wheel of Time diary, but instead of with reading a book, this will be kind of like what I did after I finished The Dragon Reborn sometime in like September of 2023, I believe it was. That was a long time ago. Holy crap. I'm going to cover the second trilogy, quote unquote, of Wheel of Time as a diary next Sunday. So I'm going to talk about my general thoughts on The Shadow Rising through Lord of Chaos, and probably throw in New Spring in there as well, because I read it in between books 5 and 6. That video will come out next Sunday. I haven't decided exactly how that video is going to go. Probably going to have to rewatch the one that I did for the first trilogy, kind of get a little bit of a structure, and, you know, of course, come up with how I'm going to do it for the second trilogy. But yeah, that's going to come out next Sunday. I should really get working on that, actually, because I don't know what I'm going to do with that still. Next Tuesday on the 3rd will be my regular monthly reading wrap-up and TBR, and talking about November Book of the Month. That's going to be an interesting video for sure, and I'm looking forward to it. The next Thursday on the 5th will be my November 2024 book haul. I did get a couple of things that I'm excited to talk about in that video as well. On the second channel, however, is a pretty busy month, all things considered. The last several of these updates, I basically just said, yeah, it's just the next 2 episodes of the Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play coming out, but this time I have more than that. Last Monday, on the 18th, was when my Fit for an Autopsy discography ranking came out, so if you haven't seen that yet, definitely go check that out. The second channel is linked in the description below. I'm very happy with how that came out overall, and gave me some ideas on how to improve that format. Tomorrow, on the 25th, is going to be my review of Linkin Park's new album, From Zero. Going to withhold anything that I'm going to say about the album right now. Just wait for you to watch that video tomorrow if you happen to be interested in it. Definitely going to be an adventure. That video will be next Monday on the 2nd. Will be another discography ranking that will be for Linkin Park, and like I said, with Fit for an Autopsy, gave me a couple ideas on how to improve that format. I used those ideas and improved the Linkin Park one. Linkin Park discography ranking might be my best of the audio-only videos that I've done on the second channel so far, so definitely check that out. Over the next couple Fridays, however, on the 29th and the 6th, will be more Kingdom Hearts 2 stuff. Episodes 18 and 19 of that Let's Play, revisiting Agrabah and Halloween Town, respectively. Yeah, thankfully we're coming up somewhat on the end of that Let's Play, at least in the recording of it. More on that in just a moment, but those episodes I think are scheduled so far to come out through the rest of the year, and I think the first episode for January of next year is actually scheduled as well. That is how much Josh and I have gotten recorded ahead of time. But speaking of playing Kingdom Hearts 2, entertainment talk. Yeah, Josh and I are actually coming up pretty close to the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. In fact, I believe at the time of this video's release yesterday, we are probably finished with the game. If not, we are definitely very, very close. We're just a few hours away from finishing probably. So Let's Play episodes of that are probably going to come through the end of January, I believe, should be when the Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play is done, and I definitely hope so. What Josh and I decide to play next and kind of do in this format, we're not too sure yet, still have to decide that, but because we're not quite done with Kingdom Hearts 2 yet, don't need to say any more. But yeah, just like I talked about just a little bit ago, The Last of Us 2 has been the other thing that I've been playing mostly, and I played it because I wanted to be able to do another critical analysis video on it, to rewrite a review for that. So I've been playing that game. Over the last couple weeks, I finished my first run of the game and started my new Game Plus run of the game. So my first run was about 33 hours long, definitely quite lengthy. I had a good time with it overall. I'm not going to say the details of how I feel about it because that would take me a little bit too long, and is the reason that I want to write the review in the first place. Second run so far, I've spent about 3 hours in it right now for the second run, New Game Plus. Basically taking notes and organizing the video script along the way, and working on doing the completionist type of stuff so I can get the platinum trophy, all that fancy whatnot. I basically plan to be playing this game most likely through the very end of the year. Will probably be about the time that I'm done playing it. We'll see what that entails, but yeah, it's going to be pretty regular for me to be playing that for quite a while. And like I said, I have 1,300 words and notes so far. That script is actually looking pretty crazy at the moment. It has like a preface and an acknowledgments at the beginning and end respectively. Then it also has a prologue and an epilogue. And so far I have it bullet pointed out to be 28 chapters. How long each chapter is, I'm not entirely sure, but I have the sneaking suspicion that video might end up being like a couple of hours long or something like that. So yeah, it's going to be intense. That's why I wanted to rewrite it. I definitely had some thoughts and felt like I needed to get back to it. But for music talk, well, there's a lot of music releases that happened over the last couple of weeks, and I'm pretty sure I was able to listen to all these before let's talking about them now. Sales and released a new single called Interloper. I always love everything that Danny DeBella puts out. Interloper was pretty much no different. Spirit Box released a second single and announced an upcoming album for next year. The single was called Perfect Soul, was pretty good. I think I liked Soft Spine a little bit better. Architects also released a single and announced an album coming out like a week before Spirit Box's album or something like that. That single was called Whiplash and was pretty great. It might be the best of these 3 singles so far. Olympus Lenticular, one of my favorite sort of proggy, genty, instrumental metal artists, released a new single called Synthetic Drift, which is pretty fun. Looking forward to hearing more stuff from him. A new EP came out just this weekend as well by a band called Horizon Fall, which is kind of a play on words. It's spelled Arisenfall. This is one of my buddy's bands. My buddy is the drummer of the band. They put out an EP called Echo Chamber, and it's actually pretty decent. If you like alt metal, but you also like screaming in your music, this is alt metal with just a little bit more unclean vocals than normal, and it's pretty good. I think the second, maybe the third song on it is the best one, but basically all of that EP is pretty good. Several albums came out over the last couple weeks as well. Worm Shepherd put out one called Hunger, I believe it was called, and I'm not sure how I feel about this one. When it's actually doing its own thing, having its own identity, it's kind of mid, it's not that interesting, and when it's good, it's just blatantly ripping off Lorna Shore's sound as of the last couple albums, so that kind of annoyed me a little bit. There's literally a song on Hunger that is just a blatant ripoff of To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore, like legitimately the way a breakdown kind of plays out and then comes back into a riff is just Lorna Shore 101, and I'm like, I like the kind of blackened deathcore sound that's been going on in the scene, but like, do something more interesting with it, Worm Shepherd. Do more like what Mental Cruelty did with their last album. Like, stop making everything sound like Lorna Shore. And like I said, when they weren't sounding like Lorna Shore on the record, it wasn't my favorite thing anyway. Poppy released an album called Negative Spaces, and although I haven't really listened to anything she's done in the past, this album was actually pretty good. Ironically enough, the heavier songs on it are the ones that I liked probably the least, or at least the more constantly heavy ones are the ones I liked the least. I just really liked her melodies and a lot of the choruses on this record. This is one that I want to return to a couple more times to kind of determine what some of my favorite songs are. I thought it was pretty enjoyable, all things considered. Of course, Linkin Park's new album From Zero came out. I've talked about that one at length. The review for it comes tomorrow, so if you want to know my thoughts on that, check on the second channel tomorrow for that. And then legendary metal band Opeth put out a new album called The Last Will and Testament, and I'm not sure how I feel. I kind of enjoyed it, but I'm not sure what I was expecting because I've never listened to Opeth before, so this was kind of like a first time experience for me. I think I need to go back and check out more of their discography before I really know how I felt, because this album, I'm like, it kind of sounded like some other things, like what it reminded me of are kind of unflattering to them, I'm sure. I enjoyed it, but it's not something that really stuck out as being super special to me, but that might just be my unfamiliarity with Opeth speaking. But yeah, if you watch the video all the way through, I really appreciate you. If you live in America, have a great Thanksgiving on Thursday. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back in the next video, whatever that is. I think it's the Witchy Eye review, but if you check out the Thanksgiving video, I really hope you do. Of course, like I said, I'll be back in the next video and the next video after that and all of the rest of the videos that I ever do, and I just hope to see you there.